Hey, what is up guys? So we're going to be showcasing off the Prank Kids Archetype. This is a new fusion / link archetype that kind of reminds me of Ritual / Spiritual Beast, and they actually just got a few new cards that I didn't cover in a video because, well, we got some gameplay with the new cards anyways, so courtesy of Magus here, we're going to be showcasing them off. So basically guys, what this archetype is all about is getting out a few different cards, and then you could have this boss monster come out. But pretty much the goal of the deck is to kind of get some small little advantage with these smaller cards that will be used as fusion or link material for your cards. So we have a few different elements here. The water one, which is actually going to be an aqua, so that'll be important later on for some of the gameplay here. But anyways, Prank Kids Drop lets you heal for 1,000 when you use it as link material for a Prank Kids fusion or link monster. The grass one, or I'm just going to call it, we're playing Pokemon now. So the wind one is going to be able to have that effect where you get to send a Prank Kids card from your deck to the graveyard if it's used as material. That's basically their small little advantage effect. But there is a card that you're going to be able to actually utilize to make it so your opponent loses some attack. It's basically just small little advantages here and there. And in fact, you can use Necro Fusion to add to the archetype, and heck, you can even run Thunder or Dragon Fusion here. But anyways, we're going to be showcasing off a little bit more gameplay while I kind of talk about certain things. But anyways, so going back to like what each of the smaller ones do, because I will get into like what the boss monsters of the archetype do. So the lamp over here is the fire one. So when it's used as material, you're going to be able to burn your opponent for 500. And then in addition to that, you can special summon one Prank Kids monster from your hand or deck in defense position except for itself. So they all have that ability to, again, give you some small little advantage, and they all have that effect also where you can just special summon an additional like monster, so I'm not going to go over each individual one for that. But again, so this one's going to let you send one, this one's going to give you an additional life pool for 1,000, and then this one is going to be able to burn your opponent. So those are like the small elements. But anyways, the most important card actually is Prank Kids House Battle Butler. This is the most boss monsters that you have in the archetype, and what it does is you contribute this card as a quick effect to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. And if this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by opponent's card, you target a monster in your graveyard except for a fusion monster and special summon it. So you can go back into some of the other monsters that might have been used as material to, of course, make the card in the first place. Here we're seeing the classic polymerization. I'm just going to go ahead and go into Butler, and you're seeing all the little effects proc over here. So it's small little effects that eventually over time will prank your opponent, right? But they have another card that I did want to go over, which is going to be in, I believe, this gameplay here. I understand that this guy's, he's not playing, I mean, this card's pretty meta. This card was meta at one point, but this guy's playing something like what I would consider like super anti-meta. He ends up going for an idea pass. I think that's kind of a mediocre play. I mean, heck, I thought Thunder King would have been a much better option. But anyway, so Lamp's going to go ahead and be summoned, attack over his opponent. But it's going to be able to show you guys the Prank Kids Super Scheme, which is one of their newer cards. So immediately during the main phase, you could, immediately after this effect resolves as a continuous trap card, link summon a Prank Kids link monster using monsters you control as material. So you can kind of leave some of your stuff on board and then surprise them with, you know, that, again, that's the whole point of the archetype, is to prank your opponent. And then it has another, like, utility. So you get to banish it from your graveyard, and then whenever your opponent's monster declares an attack is when you banish it. You get to shuffle any number of Prank Kid cards from your graveyard into the deck, and then if you do, the attacking monster loses 100 each for each card return. And this is, you can only use each factor once per turn anyway. So basically, it's a surprise. Almost reminds me of like a Formula Synchron. You're just like, oh, I'm going to make this monster, right? But obviously, they can just not declare the attack anyways. But it has, again, other ability to banish itself and then be able to boost up, well, essentially lowers their monster, so it boosts up the ability for your monster to attack over your opponent's stuff. Although, like, you should be able to see that coming anyways, because you're going to be able to see that. Okay, so going back to what I was talking about before when I was mentioning the water one was aqua, the Prank Kids Drop lets you go straight into Totally Awesome, which is a really decent card for the archetype. It's just a good negate card anyways. But anyways, Prank Kids Duel is another one of the, like, I don't know if I would consider this like a boss monster. It's more of a stepping stone to make other things. But as soon as this card is link summoned, you can add one Prank Kid spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and then you contribute this card and target 2 Prank Kid cards in your graveyard with different names except for link monsters and add them to your hand. So the fusion one's like anything but the fusion, link monsters, anything but the link monsters, and you can add them back to your hand. There's actually another important card that we'll go over in the next gameplay, but again, this is the point of the video, is to kind of showcase off what each card can do for different scenarios. But An important card for the archetype that we have not gone over, which is another one of the newer cards, it's the Prank Kid House. So this is the field spell for them. So as soon as it's activated, you get to add a Prank Kid's monster from your deck to your hand. Then once permanent a fusion of a Prank Kid's fusion monster, if you fusion summon one, you can have all monsters you control gain 500 attack, even if this card leaves the field. Then, if you go for a Link Prank Kids monster, you can have all of monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack, even if this card leaves the field. And then says you can only activate one of them per turn. So basically, it gives you a stat boost of maybe 500 to even 1,000, because remember, you can boost everything up, and then also you can lower everything. So it kind of is a card that you're going to run 3 copies of, because as soon as you activate it, you're going to add any Prank Kids monster. So whatever cards that you are missing to going for the card. So here we have Rocket Over. You can actually instant fusion for this card, but as soon as it's fusion summon, you can activate this effect. It loses 1,000 attack. It can attack directly, and then also you can tribute this card targeting 2 non-fusion Prank Kid monsters with different aims or graveyards, special summon them, but they can't attack this turn. So again, a lot of the stuff in this deck is going to be stepping stones. So I would say just making this card if you want like a boss monster. However, the deck can kind of play around with just burning your opponent, healing up, and then pranking them via the trap card. But also there's this card that we can just go over. This is the Prank Kids Prank. So you can discard 1 Prank Kid card to special summon a token, which cannot be tributed, but obviously it's for links. And then during your end phase, you can target 3 of your Prank Kid cards, except for Prank Kid's Prank, and then shuffle 3 of them into the deck, and then draw 1 card. So it's kind of like their utility to kind of reset some of their cards. But I mean, you basically like go through majority of your cards really fast, and then you hope your opponent doesn't like bounce back your card. Although it is a quick effect, but sometimes you don't have the option to really doing things like that, especially because of cards that would like tribute your card. Got one more play over here, but like I said before, with a card like Battle Butler, yeah, if you're losing out on like this card, and if you're using too many cards to make one card, the deck can definitely fall apart quite quick, because even if you're able to banish a few cards with your super scheme, you might not even be able to get its first activation anyways, and therefore your opponent might not even get rid of this card to be put in the graveyard for you to actually activate the effect. But you guys can see it's definitely a Link-oriented deck. Here's another one of their Link monsters, which is the Rorgon. So Rorgon makes it so as a quick effect, you can tribute it, destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. So the fusion one can destroy all monsters, this one can destroy all spell and trap cards. And then if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target a card in your graveyard except for Link monster and add it to your hand. I mean, overall, I think the deck doesn't really negate too much. I mean, yeah, I could pop all the monsters, but your opponent's going to see that, right? It's not like, you know, it's difficult to play around when your opponent has a card that says, yo, I'm going to pop everything. But when you have cards that can just blow up the board like Dark Hole, where we don't even play anymore, I don't know. I feel like what happens with this archetype, if you were to play against a majority of meta decks, is you would just lose to sheer advantage. But I wanted to showcase off the deck, and I mean, I guess you can make totally awesome. He made Boreal Sword over here, which is definitely going to be a good card. But at the end of the day, do you guys think that this archetype is any good? I would love to know how you guys feel about this archetype down below. I think it's just a little bit too mediocre. So you're seeing we're getting Kaiju'd over here, but totally awesome is going to go ahead and activate its effect, and be able to add that Prank Kid's drop back to the hand. So that is kind of nice. It has some synergy with it. He's going to go ahead and go for Luna, and then Boreal Sword is going to go ahead and move it. But look at this. He's going to go ahead and summon the Eater of Millions, attacking into the Kaiju, banishing that. He's still got a decent amount of cards in his hand. But I just don't feel like this deck is going to be competitive as of right now. But, you know, maybe you guys got different opinions. I would love to know. But it's just like, all the small monsters, their effects are too mediocre. Like I said, healing for 1,000, burning your opponent for 500. Maybe it can add up, right? Oh, here's another one of the, like, I guess boss monsters. But this one just requires 2 Prank Kid monsters. But anyways, Prank Kid, there's also another card that makes it so, actually, let's go to the deck profile right now that you guys have seen the gameplay. But going to Weather's effect here, it just requires 2 Prank Kid monsters, and if you're, it says if your Prank Kid's monster attacks, your opponent can't activate anything until the end of the damage. So that effect is just like, it's too outdated. When do we worry about like Mirror Force, right? In 2018. But as a quick effect, you can tribute it and target 2 Prank Kid monsters with different names, except for fusion monsters. And you can special summon that can't be destroyed by battle this turn. So it can kind of give you that ability to stall, but overall, again, the effects are just not too hot in my personal opinion. But We pretty much went over majority of the plays. However, there's one thing I wanted to mention with Bow Wow, where it says prank kid monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. But like even if they do, well, the point is you're going to be able to special summon other monsters. But if you guys want the deck profile, courtesy of Magus here, the one that you guys just saw, I'm gonna give it to you guys. Keep in mind he might have actually just built this to kind of just throw things together because it just seems like he's maxing out on like majority of the cards anyways. But you guys can tell me if you would change anything with the build too in the comment section below. But anyways, playing 3 copies of Lamp, 3 copies of Swamp, 3 copies of Drop. Of course, I didn't really mention in the video, but this is just basically another copy of Polymerization. Then we happen to have 3 Pulse, so it's basically 3/3/3. And then we have 3 copies of Immense Fusion because it's really good to just go for Rocket. And then we have Regeki, 3 Polys, we have, or I guess 6 Polys because this is what this card does. And then we have 1 Foolish, 1 Reborn, 3 copies of Thunder, Dragon, Fusion over here because obviously that is Thunder, so it actually works quite well. Then we have 2 copies of Prank Kids on the loose, so this one is a quick play spell card that says during the main phase, you can Fusion summon 1 monster from your extra deck using monsters you control, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, and for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can't normal summon or special summon monsters except for Prank Kids. Pretty much that's not going to be too much of a problem, although there are times where you can make like these specific cards, but it's definitely a good card for the Archetype, because again, you're supposed to like surprise them, and in fact, I feel like Necro Fusion actually works quite well in the Archetype. It helps, it's like built for the deck, it's like a surprise monster, right? Then we have the Prank Kids Prank for the tokens, and then we have the House, which obviously you can play 3 copies of because it just searches out any of your monsters. They have Infinite Impermanence, 3 copies of that, 2 copies of Necrofusion, 3 copies of Prank Kids Super Scheme. This card, I thought it was kind of cool. Again, you could just like surprise them with a Link summon, but I really feel like the Fusion one is just so much better because Battle Butler is going to be able to pop everything that your opponent controls, which... Again, I just feel like if your opponent knows that you have this, they're just going to like make something that either is unaffected by the destruction effect, or they're just going to bait you, and then like what do you have is back row really for the deck, right? Maybe you happen to have this that you can activate, but as far as this card being like a card that's very like, you know, really reactive, because I don't know, it just seems a little slow. But anyways, for the extra deck, we got 3 copies of Battle Butler, and then we have 2 copies of the Prank Kids Rocket, 1 copy of the Weather. Then we have Totally Awesome Boilode, Boro Sword, Prank Kids Wargon, 2 copies of the Prank Kids Doodle. So I don't know if I mentioned this one during the gameplay, but anyways, as soon as it's linked summon, you get to add any Prank Kids spell trap from protect your hand, or technically at this point it just becomes add any monster because this adds whatever monster that you want. And then we have the Bow Wow, which it actually, I don't think I mentioned this, but it actually makes it so the Prank Kid monster this card points to gains 1,000 attack. So you can theoretically have this card gain an extra 1,000 attack. Plus, in the gameplay, you guys probably saw that it actually had 4,500 attack, courtesy of the Prank Kids House. Because, in fact, you can almost make it have like 5,000, because if you're lowering your opponent's monsters by 500 and you're gaining 500, that's basically 1,000 plus the other 1,000. So it's like basically it becomes like 5,000, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. But yeah, that is the Prank Kids Archetype, and now that you guys have seen the gameplay, I want to know your guys' thoughts. I didn't think the deck was that good. Even after seeing the gameplay, I just still think it's a little bit mediocre for like a newer archetype. I think Ritual Beast just had a little bit more play with them, especially with Steeds and the Ambush. They just have better options. But it reminds me of them because it's like, oh, you go for this monster? All right, I'm going to go ahead and tribute it and get out, you know, some other. It's either add to the hand or basically summon them. Reminds me a lot of that archetype. But anyways, that's the deck, guys. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you, Magus, once again for the replays. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh decks just like the Prank Kids in action when they come out. And if you guys got any cool replays of anything new that comes out, or any cool Yu-Gi-Oh combos, feel free to go ahead and send them into AzneyesReplays@gmail.com. But thanks for watching, guys, and I am signing out.